Welcome to today's video, everyone. I've got a lot of stuff I need to get done today, and we're going to be at the shop for the majority of it. I want to adjust the rear spring preload in the back of the K-van. I want to dive back into the Skyline and diagnose that a little bit more. I want to get the Evo engine on the stand and start disassembling that. And I also want to do some just general cleanup and maintenance stuff here at the shop. One of the most frustrating things that I realized recently is that when it's really, really windy, a whole bunch of dirt and dust ends up inside the shop. And that's because all the way along the tops here, none of it is sealed up. So if you can see between where the roof meets the wall and stuff, dust is when it blows up, it comes up and down and into the shop. So I've been literally sweeping the floor and all that kind of stuff to keep up with it, but you can still see all the dust that is settling on my cars here, which really sucks and is frustrating. It's so bad over on this side, you can actually see that these weird vines and plants have been coming through. So what I'm gonna do is go to the home center and get a fair few cans of that expandable foam. And I'm gonna get up there with the ladder and I'm just gonna spray it in that gap all the way along and seal it up. And hopefully that'll try and stop the dust problem and those plants trying to grow in and things like that. And just overall make it a bit more of a cleaner workspace. I do want to assemble engines and stuff in here in the future. And it's gonna be a real bummer if dust and stuff gets in my motor. Of course, we'd keep things covered and whatnot, but I wanna try and keep this place as clean as I can I'm also a little bit OCD, so. But anyways, you guys get the idea. I'm gonna go to the home center first, and then we'll get stuck into everything. Just got back from the home center, the Royal Home Center at that, and got a bunch of goodies for sealing stuff up. I even got this stuff. It's double-sided taped on expandable foam that we're gonna put under the bottom of the door as well to stop dust being blown in from under the door. And then I got 2 mammoth cans of these, the expandable foam stuff. So this should help a lot, sealing up all that stuff that I was showing you guys before, and then just a bunch of other stuff we needed for the shop. But before I get onto any of that, I want to jack up the rear of this and adjust the preload of the springs. So I got the height right in the back, and I was a little bit confused when we were doing this because I had to figure out do I adjust the height from the strut or from the spring? I didn't know if we had to do both at the same time. Long story short, this thing's hitting bump stops and stuff just on the highway with normal bumps. So I think I've got this spring way too compressed. So what I'm gonna do is jack this thing up. We're gonna take the load off and see what it's like at full droop, and then just keep winding down the adjuster on the spring until we're at a point where it starts to move just a tiny bit in there so it doesn't fall out, but it's just I can move it by hand, the spring around. That then means we're at the right point. Tighten it up a tiny bit from there and then it should be perfect. Preload and stuff on springs is always a little bit confusing and whatnot, but definitely changes how the ride feels, that's for sure. So anyways, let's get that sorted. This is seriously the best thing I've bought in a long time. It is so freaking good, and I can't get over how cheap it was, to be honest. Thank you guys for telling me in the comment sections to jump on this particular rattle gun. Gets them off real fast. I'm scared to do up lug nuts with these. I'll obviously torque these to spec because this thing will probably break the studs. Okay, Van T37's off. All right, now we got a good shot in there at these springs and adjusters, and we should be able to get these adjusted right. So let's look at this at full droop. Okay, so I've been going through all the instructions here from Blitz that came with the coilovers, and I did definitely set this up wrong. So this is fine, the strut is fine, this is how you adjust your height. This, on the other hand, setting your spring preload is actually super important and you need to get this right. So I actually have it too loose. I thought that I'd have to loosen it, but it's actually the other way around. I need to tighten it. We're at full droop right now. The jack is not on the diff at all, it's just below it. And this spring, I can kind of twist it around. So it's not super loose, but it's actually too loose. We need to wind this further down this way so the spring's tighter, that when the car is sitting on its own weight, that it's not going to be so close to the bump stop here to bottoming out. Because if you can look there, you can see the bump stop has been smashing there. because I've got this way too loose and the spring's not getting enough room to travel properly because it's just too close to the bump stop when it's under its own weight and half compressed. So we need to make this actually tighter, screw these locking collars further down, and then we should be in the all clear. I'm pretty happy with the height that it's at right now, so we don't need to adjust that. I did make it a bit softer, the struts though, so I'm gonna now wind these collars down and we should be good. But I literally placed my order like 5-10 minutes ago for on Uber Eats for a ramen, and the lady just literally delivered it. So I got some mini stamina rice, and we're gonna make this ramen, pour it all together. It's actually really cool. This is fresh from the ramen shop, and it's all like kind of in separate containers, and then you pour it all into this bottom container which has the ramen soup in there. I'll show you real quick. The only one thing I don't like about this system is just how much plastic they use in Japan. Like, Japan will literally use, like, for any reason, will just use so much plastic, it's kind of really frustrating. Like, don't even get me started about Amazon. So we got the soup down here. I'm going to, oh, come on noodles. Don't make me, there we go. Noodles, meat, char siu. Oh, look at all this stuff that goes on top too. I hope the lady gave me chopsticks. There's some in the bag? Yo, you have got to be joking. Did she forget to give me chopsticks? No, that's a crime. How am I gonna eat this? Well, we'll figure that out. I must have a fork around here somewhere. All the cabbage, onion. Oh, we ready, we ready. And then my stamina rice on the side, which is kind of like a bunch of pork and veggies and stuff on top of rice. It's really good. I can run down the corner. There's like a shop around the corner. I can just buy some chopsticks from. Damn, she ain't getting a tip for that. All right, that's my dinner. Check this out, Uber Eats in Japan. Boom, ramen and stamina rice. Just finished eating the ramen and I'm about to start on the stamina rice, but I managed to get some chopsticks even though the shops were all closed because of lockdown. Everything's closing early here. Long story short, but I had to buy this yaki imo just so I could get chopsticks. All the shops are closed, and a yaki imo, which is like a barbecued, roasted sweet potato. All right, look at this thing. I know it looks really sus, but this is really amazing. It's like so good here in Japan. Look at this. Oh man, that actually looks so good. It's sweet potato. Anyways, he dug through his car and found a pair of chopsticks in his dashboard. He gave them to me and I said, look, let me give you some money for it. Long story short, he said, why don't you just buy one of my leftover yaki imos for me? So I did, and I'm gonna enjoy this. These are delicious. Belly full of ramen and rice and yaki imo. Let's get this sorted. I think it's just gonna be easier for me to take the struts off at the bottom here. It's just 2 bolts really quickly. That way I can get the springs wound down really fast and we should be good. We are done with the K-van now, got this thing back on the ground. Height is the same. The only thing is, we have suspension travel now, which is freaking awesome. Look at this, hang on. So I'm pretty hyped about that. Let's see how this thing feels now. And hopefully it's better. If not, I mean, I might just take the bump stops out entirely. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing to do. I feel like that's not a good idea. But definitely, when looking at this here, I mean, this is at full droop here when the springs are sitting in there. And you can see that there's a fair bit of space there, but like when the car's sitting on it, there's really not much space there between the bump stop and where it bottoms out on. So I don't know, maybe I just need to wind it even further down if it keeps hitting the bump stops. If it's not a big deal, if I have to do that, I'll just wind the spring adjusters all the way down as far as we need to. But anyways, it feels good. It does feel like though when I jump on it like this, that it may be bottoming out. So I don't know, we'll see on the drive home tonight. But anyways, time to do the fun stuff. Let's get the K-van out of here and start foaming up some holes and gaps. So I've never used these things before, but it seems pretty straightforward. Follow the instructions, shake, and spray while holding upside down. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is spray in around these holes here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Yep. Oh, okay, yep, that may be a bit too much there, Sam. Oh, we gotta keep it upside down, gotta remember that. Oh, damn. Oh my gosh, it's foaming up so quick. This stuff is fun. Trying not to get it all over myself. Yeah, this is really fun. Damn. Definitely gonna end up going around this with like a, what do you call it? A cutting knife or something at the end of this to just like trim off any pieces that I've gotten everywhere, but probably like all the builder guys are like freaking out who watch the channel right now. That's not how you do it. I don't know. Hey, look, there's a hole here. Let me fill that. Can I fill that like that? I think it'll fill. Yeah, that'll fill. That'll fill. So I completely underestimated how much was inside those cans and how much I was gonna need. You can probably see some of the expanding foam up there at the top of the windows there. I figured out as well that the seams around the windows aren't sealed either, so that's where a lot of wind is also coming up through there. I didn't even get to the top part. I was just sealing around in there, up there, and then on each side of the door, and I've already used those 2 cans. So I'm gonna try and see on Amazon if I can get like a box of that stuff, and then I can smash it out in one day when I get the really big ladder or the scissor lift to do the lights next month. But man, I can actually already feel a difference from just sealing this all up here. So I think most of the wind was blowing in around the window seals. I think the top one's not so bad, but I am still going to go seal those ones across the top where the roof meets the wall, just so everything's sealed in. The other thing as well is I started putting these on the bottom of the roller doors here. So I got this one on. It's pretty straightforward. I just clean the crap out of the bottom of this so it has something good to stick to, and then I roll this on, and this is like that really nice, it's hard to see probably, but it like compacts and it's like memory foam almost, and that'll stop a lot of stuff being blown in from under, because one of my biggest issues is like I'm not here for a couple days. Sometimes I may not even be here for a week, especially with doing the Yashio factory build at Okachan's workshop. I'll come in and there'll just be this pile of dirt around the door where it's all been blowing under the door and like coming up and in. So it's been pretty frustrating. You can really tell, like, just from this cover sitting on one of Jeff's customers' cars here, like, look how dusty this cover is. It's just from dust being blown in. So I'm looking forward to sealing all of these up, and that's gonna make a huge difference. But anyways, I'm gonna finish this and then we're gonna get onto the 33.4. And just like that, bumper is off the Skyline. Forget how easy it is to remove this thing off. I don't actually use tie laps on this one too. I actually have 10mm bolts bolted into it. This bumper is so cheap, it's kind of crazy. These are like $130 fiberglass front bumpers off Yahoo. Crazy cheap. Anyways, that's why I kept using them, because like if ever I crash, I could just get another one for practically what, $130, and then paint's like $200 and you'd be good to go. Anyways, we need to get the intercooler piping off now and figure out what's going on. Depending on what we find in the intercooler is going to tell us whether or not this has been coming from the turbo, which I'm still hoping it is, but I have my doubts. I've been thinking about this for the last few days, and I'm starting to wonder if the oil in the charge piping is actually from like bad valve stem seals or valve guides or something. So let's get this coupler off, this intercooler piping out. Mainly because I took this section of intercooler piping off and I couldn't really see much oil in it. I could really only see oil around where like the IACV valve is and the throttle body. So that's why I'm starting to wonder if it really is the turbo that's pumping the oil in. So So we'll know for sure in a little bit here. I mean, there's a little bit of oil there. Whoa. That's some like fresh oil too. Okay. The plot thickens here. Can't get that out because of that oil cooler I have there in the way. How much is in the intercooler though? That's what I want to know. Let's get a flashlight out and have a look. Can I get this coupler off? Oh man, that's tight. Oh, there's so much oil in there, it's so hard to get a grip on it. Hang on. There's a fair bit of oil. This is going to be hard to show, but there is a fair bit of oil in there. Might be hard to see. Hang on, from like back here, if we zoom in, it might be easier. There you guys go. You can see there's a fair bit of oil in there. Not a lot. There's some. I'm curious if there's going to be any on the other side though. So, let's see. I guess it's really not that much though. Like I'd expect there to be way more there. But that does kind of, oh yeah, there's a fair bit of it in there, hey? Oh yeah, there's a lot of it in there. Oh geez. Okay, let's pull off the other side now and see if we find the same thing. If we only see it on this side, I have a theory. But if we see it on this side too and in this piping, we know 100% it's the turbo. What's weird though is I didn't see any oil in the piping here. Like this piping here is bone dry up until around the IACV valve. Like there's, oh wait, but this is like always facing down. So I guess the oil would never sit in there, right? It's like this is, oh, okay, nope. I see oil in there. Okay, see how wet it is in there? Interesting. I just got this side off. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's not a lot in there, but there's definitely some. Not looking good. And then, oh yeah, you can see the oil. See how wet that is in there? And the couple is not too bad. Just a little bit there. But yeah. Definitely some oil in there. Look at all that. Now this is where I'm confused, right? Because, look at this turbo. It looks bone dry to me in there. Hang on, does it? I thought it looked bone dry to me in there. Huh, I think down there I can see some oil. Let's zoom in there a bit so you guys can get a look at that too. Maybe you guys can see that down there now? It looks like there's oil in there. See that? See that down there? That looks like oil residue. I'm gonna get a paper towel real quick and check it. But like the front of the turbo here looks perfect. So I'm completely lost. Like it looks... So my theory was, because I wasn't seeing too much oil coming out of the turbo and nothing too obvious there, that maybe my valve stem seals and valve guides were so far worn and oil was leaking down from them. And because I don't run a blow-off valve, whenever I would come off throttle, that air's coming out of the turbo. So what if that's backtracking and pulling the oil through? Because there is a lot of oil in like my IACV valve tube here, like a lot. So I was thinking maybe that was it. But I don't know, man. Now I'm really starting to think it is the turbo. Because that doesn't look good. I kind of want to pull the turbo off now and like pull the compressor housing off and get a really good look at it. But like everything about this there's no signs of oil on the front of it or around the compressor housing here. And I guess that's because like that's very hot there. So it would probably burn off, right? And like that residue of oil down there, it does look like there's oil there. I need to check. We need to see to find out, but I think it is the turbo. Got myself a little socket here with the rag. Let's try and just jam that in there and see if we get any oil residue on it. Let's pull that out. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's oil. Yeah.
See, like, I just thought I'd see it a lot wetter. Yeah, you can see actually like splashes of oil that have like discolored the alloy a little bit here, to be honest. I would say like you don't see oil here that much because this gets so hot being so close to the exhaust manifold.
So here's what I'm thinking. I think the turbo compressor side is dumping oil. I think, I spoke to the company that makes this turbo and they were like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Our turbo should never leak on the compressor side, yada, yada, yada. And through going backwards and forwards with them a whole bunch, they were like, oh, what weight oil are you running? And I told them 15W50, which is what you're meant to run like on an engine like this that gets a lot of abuse and drifting and stuff like that. And they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't run that thick of an oil. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, oh, you know, that's probably why the oil's pushing past the seal. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, but whatever. So if that is even the case, which I doubt it, that shouldn't, I mean, if that's seeing too high of an oil pressure with the restrictor that came with that turbo, that doesn't make sense to me. But that is a possibility. Maybe this turbo, the seals are not designed to get so much like too high of oil pressure, because it doesn't smoke on startup. It only seems to smoke under full throttle. So if the turbo is getting too much oil pressure than it can handle with that restrictor, that's the restrictor that came with it, mind you. I haven't changed that. Then that kind of makes sense. But it's also like, why would you make a turbo that couldn't handle oil pressure? That doesn't make sense. And anyways, with the restrictor you supply with it. So that rant aside, whatever. So I could solve that. I do actually have a Turbo Smart oil pressure regulator for a turbo here somewhere in the shop. So I could put that on there and see if that changes things. But I just, like, I've already kind of pulled this thing a fair bit apart. And I'm kind of like, you know. I'm honestly thinking about just getting a Garrett GCG high flow turbo and throwing that on there and seeing if that fixes it. And if that fixes it, I'll keep driving it for the time being and build an engine on the side. I don't know. I'm going to think about that for a bit. I miss this car a lot. Oh, but it's... I really am a mess when it comes to this situation right now. Like, I really just want to drive it and enjoy it. But at the same time, I'm like, no, Sam, don't get caught into that trap. Just pull it out and rebuild it once Sylvia is done. But it's like wrecking my brain trying to like wanting to know if this is the solution to the problem, if it is the hot side, if it is that turbo. It's wrecking my brain. It's keeping me like I think about this when I can't fall asleep at night. I'm like, is it really that? Could it be that? Could it be this? Like, been chasing my tail for the longest time on this. And I thought it may have been valve stem seals and valve guides, and because I had no BOV, it was pulling all the oil back. But the fact that we're seeing more oil on the cold side and less oil on the hot side is making me realize that like oil, right, when it's heated up, and it's going to be very, very hot on the hot side, that's just why you have an intercooler. The oil is a lot more like itemized, and as it's hitting the intercooler and cooling down, of course we're going to see more oil on the colder side, because that's when it's going to cool down enough to form back together and pool up there, right? And it's a pretty basic explanation, but I'm sure you guys understand. So I think that's what's been happening. I think if what the company's told me is true, that because of the thickness of oil, because I had this same issue with the previous turbo that was on this, and I sent it back to them, and they said there was nothing wrong with it, and they tested it, they filled it up with oil to the max pressure that they recommend, nothing was leaking out of the compressor side. And now this one worked for about 1 to 2, 3 months, and now started doing the same thing. So, I don't know. Let's have a little chat. I've got my dad hat on right now. And look, putting aside the turbo company that I work with on the channel, you know, I truly believe that they make the best product in the world, and that's the reason why I'm working with them. That's the reason why I make sure that all their turbos go on my cars now, and even if I wasn't working with them, I would still be doing the same today. I would be using only their product, because I've just had so much bad luck with these other branded turbos where, yeah, sure, I was saving, you know, $500 to $800, but at what cost? And it just got me thinking, like, you know, these particular other companies that pop up, the turbos are made in like Taiwan, not in China and all this stuff, you know. They claim that they're the same, just at a cheaper price point. They make a good quality turbo at a cheaper price point. They use the same, you know, naming convention and stuff like GTX 3071 Rgen 2 or G30 770 and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? To make it seem like it's the same as, you know, Garrett's turbos. And at the end of the day, the question that pops in my mind is, if you are really getting the same product but at a cheaper cost, what shortcuts did they take to make it cheaper? That's what I want to leave you guys with. You've watched my channel. You've known all the issues that I've had with two very reputable brands that make turbos from Taiwan, and that's how they advertise them and promote them. They use the same naming convention as Garrett, but by no means are they Garrett quality standards. We've seen that time and time again on the channel now with the Chaser Turbo, 2 turbos now on the Skyline, and I just want to leave you guys thinking about that, like, especially with how expensive these cars are becoming right now. You know, if you've got a Skyline that's worth $50,000 plus, do you really want to cheap out on a turbo that really has the potential of completely destroying your investment? Let's talk about that, because if a turbo blows up, if the core just completely destroys itself, it's pumping all of that metal and bearing material straight down the oil drain into your oil pan or sump. Your oil pickup's going to pick up what can fit through it, and that's going to get pumped through your engine. You're going to get rod knock. You're going to potentially break something else, break your other turbo if you're running twin turbos, because that'll get pumped to the turbos. Like, that's going through your entire oil system. Then you got to realize, okay, cool, if you got a GTR and you got an RB26, how much is a brand new or a used secondhand RB26 now? $6,000 to $10,000 if you're lucky. More so $8,000 to $10,000 now here in Japan. What if you got a 2JZ? $6,000 to $10,000 as well right now here in Japan, just for a long block. What if you had a GTST with an RB25, creeping up to $5,000 to $6,000 a pop, secondhand? Is it really worth it? I'll leave that question to you guys. So think about that. Tell me what you think down in the comment section. I'm sorry if, you know, like, I know some people have had some good luck with this, but out of 2 turbos I've had for the Skyline and 1 for the Chaser, the proof is in the pudding, I think. So on my way home, and my gosh, did just adjusting the springs make a huge difference. The van literally feels like it did with stock suspension now, except it's way more like rigid, like with cornering, and there's like pretty much no body roll. It's amazing. I love it. The other thing that's really, really cool was I found the fronts were a little bit too firm. While I was driving, I could just literally, hang on. I could just reach down there and adjust the damper while driving. Tell me, what other race car can you do that with? I mean, without a digital, one of those digital like TN ones or something like that, you know? But that's freaking cool. So front is soft, rear is soft. I'm happy we can do long drives now. So far, the bumps I've hit, it hasn't bottomed out. Stuff like that we just went over would bottom out last night and hit the bump stops. Feels great now. Feels awesome. I'm so happy. Just got home. It is late. I got so much accomplished today. In fact, there's a lot of stuff that never even happened on camera. Just organizing with secret car purchases and stuff like that, and getting things lined up and ready. So I've been hinting at this for a while, like on my other socials, on Instagram and Twitter. But I have made some top secret car purchases, and I'm kind of getting everything ready to reveal them when the time is right. Pretty much once the Sylvie is done, it's going to be insane, the content that we've got planned. I think a car reveal will be happening before the Sylvie is done, but that's not like the crazy special one or another special one that may be coming soon. Anyways, there's a lot happening, and I'm so excited because you'll see when you find out about it. But anyways, guys, I hope you're sticking around. Smash that subscribe button, like, comment, all that kind of stuff. And if you haven't already gotten yourself some SAMMIT merch, head to sammit.net and grab some of the stuff. New drop is around the corner. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will have a new drop. We're bringing back some stuff that you guys have been asking for, as well as a new shirt and stuff like that, so get excited. Anyways, guys, I've done a lot of talking in this video. I'm sorry if it felt like a bunch of chores were getting done, but this is my life and this is what I like to film, so enjoy. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Ciao, mata.